guys, welcome back for another video. So in today's video, I'm going to cover off the apps that I use to manage my investments. In the UK, I have seen quite a lot of people reviewing apps like Trading 212, eToro, and those are app-based ones. And obviously you've got Robinhood in the US, and I think it's Charles Schwab's and all the rest of those ones. But then in the UK, you also have eToro and you have Trading 212. You also have quite a lot of people doing reviews of Vanguard as well, which I do have, but I don't really use that because obviously there's no app for Vanguard, so can't really do a review on those. But the ones that I do use on a regular basis are Hargreaves Lansdown and AJ Bell, two very much unloved investment platforms or fund supermarkets that I know if you're a millennial and you're in that sort of space of financial independence, retire early, you're probably not going to be using those apps, and that's largely because both those platforms are quite legacy, if you like, and a lot of people don't really choose to use them because they are relatively expensive in comparison to Trading 212, your Robinhoods and your eToros. But I, being an older millennial, do have those two apps, and I think they get not very good coverage, I think. So I'm going to do a review on the two apps and give you my personal view on which ones that I prefer. So let's get into it. Okay, so when you go into the app, you have this as your home screen, so you'll see all the markets. I go into my ISA and you'll see the total value of your ISA at the top of the screen and how much your portfolio has grown or not grown. And then you'll see how much cash you have. And then you can see here, as I said, I have my investments, and this is what I invest in. So I have Aviva, International Airlines, and it's sorted by the value of the investments that generate the most returns. But you can sort it by a different value, so you can choose to change it by the value or the investment amount or the change in price, etc. But I just choose the default. So here are all of the here's everything that I invest in. Then I have the prices, so you can see we're down today by 1.9, for example, on International Airlines, International Consolidated Airlines. These where it's like 0, it's because the markets haven't opened, so these are international markets, so this is US markets. Then details, so you can see once again quite a lot of details about the investments that you have. So how much did you originally buy them for £8.94, and I've made £211 as an example on Aviva, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much that. And then you have this tab called X-Ray, which will basically pull up a summary of all of your investments. And you will see here, as an example, let me just expand this. You will see where all of your money is invested. Now this doesn't like break it down by the individual funds and things like that, but you can see here where my money is invested. So the bulk of my investments are in Japan, then United States, US, UK, etc. And you'll just see how it's broken down by the value of the equities. And then where is my money allocated? So what's the asset type? Bonds, and that will be as a result of me investing in certain funds. So some of the funds will invest some of the money in bonds, and that's fine by me because honestly I have no real issue with having my money in bonds, though obviously I know the bond market has crashed recently, but all these things I think will come up in the wash, so it's not really a big deal to me. And then, it sort of tells you where your money is invested. So, I mean, it basically just gives you an overview, and, I don't want to go into too much detail about this, but this is just like a quick snapshot of what you have. So then let's go into the news. So you'll see, it gives you the latest market news, and then you have investment articles. You can search for an investment. So let's say I'm going to look at Aviva because I own Aviva shares, and see where the Aviva share prices, and then you see the costs and charges to be able to invest. So if I chose I haven't got like actual cash. Oh, it does work. Okay. So you'll see the costs calculator. So this is what I was saying about the cost being quite high if you are investing in actual stocks. So you'll see in order to buy £100 worth of Aviva shares, you're going to pay £10.70, which is quite a lot, right? So that means you need the share price to increase by nearly 11% in order to break even, which I can see why people don't want to invest with stocks or equities in these kind of like legacy investment platforms, because it is very expensive. Now, if I were, for example, to go buy a fund, so let's say an AJ Bell, so these are all their recommended funds. So if I go here, if I wanted to buy one of their funds, it's £1.50. So again, let's pick that. I want to buy, let's enter another £100. Includes costs and charges, so you can either say no, so you pay it outside of the amount. So I'll show you in a minute. So, and then you've got the key investment details, so you've got to read those before you can say yes. And then you'll see costs and charges here before you place a deal. But I'm not going to place a deal because this is just for the purposes of showing you how it works. Okay, so for £100, it's going to cost me 54 pence to buy, and this is a low-cost investment investment fund, so it's relatively cheap, so not it's not bad. I'm not going to go into the details of what this particular fund is, but you'll be able to just have a look for yourself. So that's basically how the app works, and then you've got more. And then here you'll see, sort of private messages. So you've got your active orders. I've got nothing here. So let's say, for example, I'd wanted to buy Aviva shares and I'd purchased them overnight, and it hadn't been fulfilled. So I'll be able to see it there. Then I'll see my transaction history. So you can see here everything that I've purchased so far. This was a good day for me. 888 holdings. Made quite a bit of money there. And then also there was another one that I was holding, Codemasters. I made £3 on that stock, so that was really good when I sold it. Then you've got your cash statement, so what have they been charging me? So you can see here, custody charge of £1.13, sorry, £1 71 pence. So when people say that Hargreaves Lansdown, AJ Bell and Hargreaves Lansdown are very expensive, they're expensive for the purposes of buying stocks, but their actual, what I would say, regular monthly charge, I think is fairly reasonable. Because if you think, let's just filter this by just the month of March. Let's go to the 1st of March. We're almost at the end of March. Okay. And you'll see here, how much have I actually paid to them? Let's go out. Let's filter it by out. How much have I actually paid them? So I've paid them funds charge of 71 pence, and I've also paid them £1.13. So what is that for 84? £1.84. I mean, it's to me that's kind of like a negligible cost. So I have no issue with that. Okay, so let's come out of AJ Bell and let's go into Hargreaves Lansdown. So here we have Hargreaves Lansdown, and when you open up the app, once again, you're in the markets. They do have a wider, overview of all of the markets, I think, if you expand. So again, just like AJ Bell, they have the main markets, and then you'll see all of these in the FTSE 100. Obviously we're in the UK, so those are the ones I'm going to focus on. And then you'll see here are the most popular funds. And then here I have lots of different products with Hargreaves Lansdown. I have my stocks and shares ISA. Then I have through my company, there is a scheme where you invest and then they charge you a little bit less than the average that they would charge for their investment platform. So I go into my SIP and you can see everything that I'm holding, so basically all my holding. Then I have, you know, so these are like Hargreaves Lansdown's recommended stocks, just like AJ Bell has their recommended fund. They have something called the Wealth 500, which is their sort of selected funds that they think, you know, people should consider. Then you just have the prices of, you know, what they're currently trading at today. I believe that's today's prices. Then details, so for example, how many units do you have, etc. And one thing you can see here is if you go to details on the individual fund or stock that you purchased, so you can see the lowest purchase price, well, I purchased them at 49 pence, 49 and 86 pence, 49 pounds and 86 pence. And they are now worth, I believe, 53 pounds and, let's just make sure that's right. Is that the right one? Yeah, I don't actually understand how that works, thinking about it now. I'll look into that another time. Anyways, I'm just showing you how it works, so it's not necessarily like demonstrating all of my knowledge, because by no means am I an expert in this. I'm very much an amateur. I'm learning as I go along, just like the rest of the people probably watching this video. So let's see what this one does. So yeah, it just shows you the total gain, and you can filter it by what you want to see. Okay. And then here you can place, you can add money, withdraw money, or deal. So that's fine. Okay, so then let's go to watch list. So I have a watch list that I created of tech stocks that I wanted to hold. So you can see here some of the ones that I originally looked into. So basically, I believe what this is telling me is that at the time when I popped Google into my basket, if I had popped it into my basket at that time when I put it on my watch list, I would have made 25% on my investment. So more for me, but not buying into Google. The reason I didn't was because at the time I thought that was really expensive, and now that it's like nearly $2,000. Anyway, but the reason I also didn't invest in Google was because I had a number of like tech stock funds or tech funds that did have Google as quite a high percentage of the overall fund makeup. So that's the reason I didn't, because I thought, well, I'm getting Google stocks via these funds, and so on and so forth. So Tesla, I did actually invest in Tesla at this point, so I am actually 25% down on Tesla. Yeah, that's another, well, no, it's recovered a little bit, so yeah, I think I'm, but this is via Trading 212, so I'm about 20% down on Tesla. But anyway, and then here's just like a list of stocks that I wanted to buy, so list of funds, sorry. So I did actually buy these. They actually have quite an extensive degree of research. So when you go into their account, so here I mentioned briefly the Wealth shortlist and other funds. Here's ones that I've looked at recently. So let's go to, well, I recently mentioned Scottish Investment Trust. So here are the ones that I looked at recently, and what you'll see is if you click here, what they do is they actually give you a summary of what Scottish Investment Trust does. So if I were to then search for, let's say, Scottish Investment Trust again, it would give, and then I go into the app further, and then what the top 10's in there. So you've got Tesla as the top research, which is one of the features I really like, because within the app you can see all of this. And if you go into here, you'll see like an article. Now, this is not necessarily always up to date. Sometimes if there is something new for them to tell you, then you'll see it by the date. So, you know, yeah, I mean, this is probably not the best example to go into. Let's see, what's here? Okay, I'll have to close that one down. It's not opening up. So let's say a FTSE 100 stock. So I'm going to go to Aviva again. And here if I click in Aviva and I go to news and research, you will see the latest sort of market news on Aviva, and you'll see that their recent investment updates. You'll get the sort of fee history, and here you will see how much have I paid over the course of a couple of days, over the course of the month so far. So for the month of March, that's probably going to be February because it's normally in arrears, because we are at the end of March now. So what I paid was £2.23. Now the reason probably for £2.23 is that not only does it cover the investment charges from the funds, but it also covers Hargreaves Lansdown's investment platform fees. Are they expensive? Yes, relative to the app-based ones. Are the apps great? They do the job. If I were going to rate the apps, I would say Hargreaves Lansdown, the app definitely trumps AJ Bell. It is a much easier app to use, very simple interface. Yeah, just overall, just much better. Where they are crap is their website. It is terrible. They really need to do something about it. The app is much better. For AJ Bell, their website is a lot better than Hargreaves Lansdown. The app itself is okay, but the features are just much better on Hargreaves Lansdown. So overall, between the two apps, I would say Hargreaves Lansdown, hands down, trumps AJ Bell. They're not the best in terms of if you want to trade individual stocks. If you are focused on funds only, then both of them I think are really good for funds, but definitely not for trading individual stocks and shares because they are very expensive. You know, over 10% you have to gain from your investment in order to break even for both of them, and that's pretty crap. Versus if you go eToro or if you go to Trading 212, you know, there's no fee. It's basically free. Yeah, so that's pretty much my review. I hope it's been helpful for anybody who kind of was thinking about using either of them. And also, I just quickly want to say that the reason I haven't actually moved my money out of both of them is because you know, the cost is so little versus the reward of moving it to a different investment platform. It's just not worth my time, if I'm honest. You know, the amount I'm losing is not enough to make me stay up at night. And, you know, I have actually moved anything where I want to trade individual stocks. I trade in Trading 212. I just leave everything that is fund related in AJ Bell and Hargreaves Lansdown. So my money's going to stay where it is. I'm not going to move it. But future investments, I do, as I said, trade in 212. I also have a Vanguard account, but that's another video. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope it's been helpful. If you did find it helpful, hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks guys, bye.